Hello everyone. In this video, we'll be discussing protection and security aspect of operating system. What is protection? Protection refers to a mechanism for controlling the access of programs, processes, or users to the resources defined by a computer system. So basically, protection provides protection to the resources available in the system, and what it will do, how it is going to provide the protection by controlling their access by their users means maybe a program is accessing them, a process is accessing them, or a user user is using them. So whenever we are using the resources, we'll be controlling their uses, and thereby we are going to provide protection ensures that the resources of the computer are used in a consistent way. That means they will be used in the same manner throughout. It ensures that each object is accessed correctly and only by those processes that are allowed to do so. Right. So whosoever is allowed to use that particular object is only going to use that particular object. Right. Then next is, what is the difference between protection and security? Protection provide control access to a system that we have seen in the previous slide also. It ensures that only processes with proper authorization can access the resources. So here, what does this authorization? Authorization means whosoever is allowed to use that resource is only going to use that resource. And security tails ensures authentication of the system in order to protect the information stored in the system. So see, we'll try to understand the meaning of these two words again. Authorization, authentication. Say your SAP portal, right? In the SAP portal, whenever you log in, that means you are, it is authenticating if your login is successful, that means system has authenticated that this is person X, Y, and Z, right? So if that X and Y and Z is a student, then whatever authorized operations are there for a student, only those will be enabled for the student, right? Authorization means what are the operations, whatever the tabs will be enabled for you in the SAP portal, only those particular operations you are going to perform, right? So hope you have understood the basic meaning, authentication and authorization. Then the next is goals of protection. In protection model, computer consists of a collection of objects, hardware or software. Each object has a unique name and can be accessed through a well-defined set of operation. See, the whole story is in the system, processes are there and various objects are there. What these objects are, we are going to discuss. Objects will be there. Then on these objects, various operations can be performed. So whatever allowable operations are there on those objects, only those can be performed by a process. That is the goal of protection. And see, what is the protection problem says? Ensure that each object is accessed correctly and only by those processes that are allowed to do so. So whosoever is allowed to perform those operations is only going to perform that, right? So guiding principle, whenever we are providing protection, we are following one rule. What is that rule? Principle of least privilege. What does it mean? It means programs, users, and systems should be given just enough privileges to perform their task. So see, this means whenever I'm performing a task, so to perform that task, whatever resources we require, only those resources will be allowed to use. Say another example, suppose one program is calling a function. So whenever we are going to that function can access only the local variables and the values of the parameters coming from the main, right? So only these particular resources the function can use, right? Other variables, other part of the main will not be accessible to the function. So see, we are going to provide list, means whatever is required by the task to perform, only those resources will be allowed. So when we do so, we are limiting the damage that a faulty process may cause, right? So suppose whenever this function is not working properly, then whatever the damage the function can cause will be limited. But if that effect is, if that particular function is accessing the variables, other things of the main, then the damage will be propagated to the main also. So due to that, we are providing limited privileges, limited access to the function. Whatever is required to perform the operation, only that will be accessible to the function, right? Another analogy is given. Consider the analogy of a security guard with a pass key. If this key allows the guard into the public area that say guards, then misuse of the key will result in minimal damage. So see, one security guard is there given with a pass key. So that pass key, with that pass key, the public area wherever see guards is guarded, right? And if, however, the pass key allows access to all areas, then what will happen? If that key is lost or stolen or misused or copied or any compromise has happened, then what will happen? The damage caused by that will be greater, right? So due to that, so see, if the key is accessible, the key is guarding only the local area by that particular security guard, then if any problem occurs, the problem will be limited to that area only. But if the key is given access to all the areas, then the damage will be bigger, right? So it's the same way that function concept I have explained, right? The next is how we are going to use this domain of protection and all. We are moving towards that. A computer system is a collection of processes and objects. By objects, we mean both hardware as well as software objects. Hardware objects, as you know, it will be your CPU, whatever you see, CPU, memory, printers, disk, and software resources, your files, programs, and semaphores. And each object will have a unique name. By that, we are going to identify it, right? And each can be accessed only through well-defined and meaningful operations. So some operations are there applicable to a particular object. Only through them we are going to use them. Objects are essentially abstract data types, right? Then next is the operations that are possible depend on the object. So see, based on your object, operations will be there. So on a CPU, operation possible is what? Execute. Memory segments, with memory, you know, only two operations. What are those? Read and write. CD-ROM, DVD-ROM, these are also memory. But what type of memory? Read only, right? So only read operation. Data files, you can create, you can delete, open, write, many more. Then program files, you can read, you can write, you can execute, as well as you can delete that one, right? Next, I'm coming to domain structure, how we are going to create a domain. A process operates within a protection domain, which specifies the resources that the process may access. Actually, see, the whole theme is we are going to provide protection. So whom you are going to provide protection? To your resources. How you are going to provide protection? By listing some set of operations allowable on that particular object. So whosoever is allowed to perform those operations, only they are going to perform that. That is the main theme, right, of your protection. So a process operates within a protection domain which specifies the resources that the process may access. The resources, first is your object. Each domain defines a set of objects and the types of operations that may be invoked on each object. One is object, on object, the types of operation, right? Then the ability to execute an operation on an object is known as access right. That means I have that particular access right on that object. A domain is now next is bigger one. A domain is a collection of access rights, each of which is an ordered pair. So a domain is nothing but an ordered pair. And what is there in that ordered pair? Object name, right sets. So object name may be CPU, right set may be execute. Object name may be a file, right set may be read, write, execute, whatever. So for example, if domain D has the access right, file F, this is our object, and your write sets are read, write, then a process executing in domain D can both read and write file F. However, it cannot perform any other operation on that object. So see what we are going to do whenever we'll be working in a domain. So whenever I'm working in a domain and I'm trying to access one file F and I'm performing one read operation. So whenever with file F, we want to perform read operation, first we will see whether in that domain file F read write is there or not. If it is there, then our operation will be continued. Else the operation will be stopped. Yes. Then domain structure. A domain can be realized in a variety of ways. First one is a domain can be a user. Suppose student is a domain, your faculty is a domain, then your head will be a domain in our SAP portal example, right? So each user may be a domain. In this case, the set of objects that can be accessed depends on the identity of the user. So as a user, so suppose as a student, what you can do that depends on that identity, right? So domain switching occurs when the user is changed. Generally, when one user logs out and another user logs in. This part is simple. Hope you have understood, right? The next is each process may be a domain. Process itself may be a domain. In this case, the set of objects that can be accessed depends on the identity of the process. So see, and domain switching occurs when one process sends a message to another process and then waits for a response. See, I'll explain with one example. A process can be a domain. See, basically we know that in the system there are two types of processes. One is user process, another is kernel process. The user process is right now suppose working, is executing. And in that user process, it has made a system call. So as soon as it makes a system call, then there will be switching to your kernel process because system call will be executed by your operating system. So see what we have said, domain switching occurs from my user process to another process is kernel process. So that domain switching occurs when one process sends a message to another process and then waits for a response. This part is also clear. So process may be a domain. Example, you can take your user process and your kernel process. User process have access to particular memory segment. Apart from suppose beyond that, it cannot access it. But a kernel process, it has some access to some special variables, some special data structures and all. So that is kernel process accessible resources, right? Then next is access metrics, the general model of protection, how we are going to provide protection. This is very, very important, access metrics in your protection. The general model of protection can be viewed abstractly as a matrix known as access metrics. So it is a matrix. In the matrix, some rows and columns will be there. So here rows represents what? Domains. You'll be working in various domains. And columns represent objects because we are providing protection to our objects working in a particular domain, right? So the columns represent objects. Then, so these are my names of my rows and column. Now, what will be the meaning of the entries in the matrix? The particular rows and columns. Each entry in the matrix consists of a set of access right. The entry access is the name of the matrix, right? Access ij. This means what? Domain I, object j. So the entry access ij defines the set of operations that a process executing in domain OI, this is I, huh? OI, can invoke on object OJ, right? So this is my object and this is my domain. I'm working in this domain and I'm performing one operation on this object OJ. So whenever I'm performing that operation should be there in this access right. Then only the operation is permissible. Otherwise, will be stopped. So this is that example. Say these are four domains here shown as an example. This is our access matrix. Rows are what? These rows are our various domains. D1, D2, D3, D4 like that. These are domains. And columns are nothing but various objects. So here we are representing object as your file 1, file 2, file 3 and printer. And the entries are what? The access rights, means the rights. So if a process is executing in domain D1 and working on file F1, then it can perform only read operation on that, right? Likewise, suppose some process is working in domain D4 and trying to write into the file F3, it is permissible. Why? Because the write entry is there at D4, F3, like that. And the printer is accessed only by domain D2, right? So this is all about your access metrics. Next in the next video, we are going to see some special rights in the access metrics. Thank you.